Kale, probably.
Hello, everybody.
So, Chikaberry. Okay, so me, I'll be skipping some. I'll be skipping some things. So only we're going to start the OOP side of the whole thing. I want to start the object-oriented part. Like I told us that Kotlin is an object-oriented programming. So I've skipped some things by default that along the line we revisit them because we are far behind the time. I know I caused some, likewise I not caused some. Yeah, so and the map, it's just because of my schedule and sometimes I don't plan it to be like that. Yeah, so the different object-oriented programming, for some of us that has programming knowledge before, we know that language like Java, Kotlin, Python, some other languages like that, Dart, and the likes. There's a lot of programs that are object-oriented. So today we're going to be looking at, I'm going to be introducing the object-oriented side of Kotlin. But for some of us that does not really know what object-oriented means, I'm going to explain that a bit to us, but on our own to read up on it, because I mean, when we make research by ourselves, it's help us to know better. So object-oriented programming is more of like is a programming that is just all about creating objects. It's all about creating an object. Like you see, it does stand for the objects and the whole stand for the object. So it's more of like a object-oriented programming is about creating an object, and an object that actually contains some values. So like I'm going to say that it's more of like you are creating an object that creating an object that's I'm looking at. So, I mean, try to, can you all see my browser? I believe you can see my browser.
On load the view by any could show anything. You can show loading stuff. Me, mobile boy, she load down the mean only.
So, ring got some shell at on.
Me or ring be by anything. Me, mobile others, Richard. But Mungon contents.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ṣé gbogbo lè rí nǹkan tí mo ń share lórí screen because I'm actually sharing my screen. Network ló máa jẹ́ if that's
Yeah, I can see it here.
Yeah, okay.
I can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah, so let me just to be more a bit clear today, I'm just quickly going to go to draw a blank diagram. Yeah. So you see, to have OOP. So let's say, for instance, just trying to draw an XML chart, which kind of, it might be rough, but I mean, just to kind of being able to so what I said, it does contain like it's more about OOP is just object-oriented programming is more about creating an object. So then the objects does contain some other things. So let me just say the object does contain data and method. So in the case of, I mean, method or function is still the same, they are the same thing. So anytime we talk about the object side of objects-oriented programming, it's just all about, it's contain the function and yeah, so that's that. So I'm going to explain all that. So when I say data, it means that it contains some values. You're going to understand better when I start explaining this. And it contains some other method, I mean, which is function, which I've actually been explaining. I've been explaining earlier on. Okay, that I've been explaining earlier on to us. We see that we've created different function right from onset. So another thing is about object-oriented programming is the advantage of it is faster and easier to execute. It's very fast and easier to execute, and that's why it's adopted in most of the modern technology, and I mean modern coding way, and it provides a clear structure ways of programming. Like it's something that you can really relate with as like a person that does not really understand programming per se. So you can really say that, oh, this is what creates this is what creates this is how this thing creates, this is what hosts this. So it's kind of something that you can really relate with what is going on around your environment. And it's more of like it helps in like you don't have to repeat yourself. Let's say, for instance, I created an object of car. I can reuse that object of car in several places. So instead of me saying I created car, let's say I created that soon, yeah, that soon. let's say I created okay, let's say I created, I don't know, I'm not really a car freak like that. Let's say I created a Volvo, and I created that Volvo as a car, which is of a type of a car, and I want to create another car which is of a type of Mercedes. So I mean, like, there's no point, because when you look at the car structure, like, both of them they share similar things together. So there's no point of me actually saying I want to recreate Mercedes from the scratch again. Do you get? And when you look at all these companies, you see that some of them actually buy they don't really kind of start from scratch. They buy spare parts from different places and try to make it as one for different companies. So the thing is, what I'm trying to bring out of there is, the object-oriented allow you to reuse the code that you've already created instead of you writing the same code in several places. So that's the advantage of it. And it is easy to modify and easy to debug. I mean, when we get to the serious side of things, you see the advantage of debugging and modifying your code easily. So yeah, it saved less of times, and it's kind of save you of a lot of stress, because the code, it allows the code to be maintainable and the like. So that really makes it kind of stand out. So what we are going to be looking at is two things that's really two things that really that are the main aspect of object-oriented programming. I'm going to say two aspects. Please give me 1 second. So the two aspects of the object-oriented programming, I'm gonna say, is the class and we do have class and yeah, we do have class, and we do have the object side of it. Yeah. So let me try to explain this. So a class, I'm trying to look at the way I can simplify it for you. A class is more of like an holder of an object. It's more of like a class is more of like a template for mommy, daddy. Yeah, cool. Mommy is coming soon. Yeah. Sorry about that, please. Daddy. So the class is more of like a template for an object. And I'm going to say an object is mommy will soon come here. Where can meet Auntie Fombi? No? Oh, yeah, watch your cartoon. Good girl. Please give me a second, please. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so a class is a template for objects, and I'm going to say an object is an instance. An object is an instance of a class. Yeah, let me quickly explain that. Let's say, for instance, I create something which is, let's say I create a class called fruits. We're going to understand better now. I create a class called fruits. And what are the different type of fruit that we have? I want us to talk at this point. We can omit ourselves so that we understand this thing, because it is in understanding of this thing that will help us in we can create different type of fruit, but so please just mention different type of fruit, any type of fruit. Because at the end of the class, somebody will have to re-explain everything that I've explained in one way or the other. Because if you don't understand this, so that means that we are not even actually going to Android. That's just the way it is. Because everything in Android that we're going to be doing is going to really, really involve what I'm talking about. Now, this, we are getting to the serious side of it. I mean, not to waste our time too much. Let's say we create apple, banana, and the likes. So you can see that every one of them belongs to the class of fruits. Now, when you are talking about apple, oh, okay, let's say, for instance, now I want to send my daughter and say, go and buy me fruits. My daughter is going to ask me which type of fruit. It's going to tell me, oh, I say, okay, buy me apple or banana. So you can see that all of them kind of belongs to the fruits class. They belongs to the fruits, they belongs to the fruits group. So that's why they said object is like an instance of a class. Object is an instance of a class. So the class becomes like a template, because the fruits, it's more of like the generic man that can code different type of an attribute that they have. I mean, yeah, because you will see that some fruits actually have the same attributes together. What number one attribute is, what can you do to them? You can hit them. So every fruit can actually share the same attribute, which is eat. What is the name? So this particular fruit class can have some attribute that will make you to be able to create different type of fruits. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to explain. Should I move on?
Well, move on. I get you. I don't know if others understand.
Yeah, please, let's talk out, because we are really, really getting to, I mean, you see, I'm not really doing anything really called coding now. I'm trying to let us understand the concept of OOP, and it is very, very important. Anyway, I'm going to assume that every one of us actually understand. I'm going to assume that every one of us understand the whole thing. Another example I can cite here is, let's cite another example of, let's say, car. No, we have different type of car now. Yeah, so now you can see, let me just try to explain again to us. because I'm kind of worried I roll over this keep it silent. So a car is more of like how should I put it? Yeah, a car is more of like an object, kind of. And even despite the fact that it's in the class group, but it's more of like an object. Like I told us earlier on, that the class is a template that holds, the class is like a template for objects. So it's more of like the class that holds different properties of the object. So now the car does have different attributes. What are the attributes that this car can have? Let's look at the different attributes that the car can have. This car can have an attribute of color, right? That's the different thing that this car can have. Attribute of, what are the things that is generic to car? Yes, I want us to talk because that's the only way we can actually understand this thing.
Maybe name.
Okay, name, that's amazing. Yeah, we can have weights because different car actually does have different weights. And now we have different brands, you know, every car
Yeah, I believe
does have different brand. So
brand,
like, yeah, so I mean, and you see, these are the properties. Now, these are the properties, kind of. Now, let's look at, now these are the property. So let's look at
about shape.
what is it?
I said shape.
Shape. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you. So let's look at some of the action they can perform. So I'm going to call our function, because what your function is doing is more of like you want it to perform a particular action or stuff, right? So let's look at different function that is generic to car. What are the things that car can do?
maybe start a car, like start the engine.
Yeah, start.
Stop the
So we
engine.
can, so there is possibility for us to have, let's call it drive. Don't let us say start. Let's just call it drive. That will be more, so that anybody going through this will be able to, so we can have a drive function, and we can have, I'm going to suggest that we can have brake, because every car we do can actually brake a car. So we can actually stop it. Let's just stop it like this. So we could see that we've been able to name different properties and the function that it does involved, that we can create like a template that allow us to create multiple objects of a car. I don't know whether you're getting me. Okay, let's yeah, let's look at how we can create a class in for me, I want us to do a pseudocode today. I don't even want us to go into this thing. So for us to create a class, it's those, let's create a class of a car. It does start with a keyword of class, which is like this, and which is as simple as this. Don't mind me that I'm trying to code on this today. Just feel like it's looking like it's going to be a hard year. Okay, let me go to IntelliJ just to quickly show us. It's getting hard on that quick. So let's create a new class. You will follow. You will follow. Yeah, come down. You will fall. Ah. So you know why my stuff is number one, it is actually wrong to create a class. It is wrong to create a class. That's the naming convention. To start it with a small letter. So let's create some of those properties down. Let's get some of those properties that we talked about. So it's more of like we are creating a variable right from one side. We talk about name, right? We have to assign value to it.
Color.
What is okay? We talk about color.
Color.
Yeah.
Brand.
So we talk about brand.
Can talk about the speed as well. Maybe.
The shape.
The amount come on different speed now. Like different speed rating.
Yeah, I think we are good here. So I mean, for the reason why I'm going to put here to hit is for us to know that a class can actually hold different type, different data type, like integer, string, array list. It depends on whatever that you want to put there. So now we've created the property of a class. So in one way or the other, we've created this class now. But now we've not created an object of it. So now let's look at how we can create an object of this car. So let's see. Right. So let's declare this car equals to, that's how to create an object of a car. Right. So this, we have created an object of a car. So now I can create multiple car. I can call this Volvo car. So you get, I can call this Audi car. I don't know whether you're getting what I mean. I'm not communicating to only one person. So this is basically the objects. These are the objects. Yeah, this is the class. So the class is more of like I think you should be able to understand that. So the class is more of like a template to be reused that allow me to be able to create multiple instances of, that allow me to create multiple instances of an object. So now, let's say for instance, I want to assign different things to this. So I can say Volvo car. I can actually access and set value to it. I can say Volvo car. What's the brand of the Volvo car? The brand is, let's say it's 20, I don't know brand of car. I don't know. Maybe somebody should just suggest that. I told you that I'm not a car person. Don't know, it can be, let's say, Volvo. The shape can be Yachbach. Don't fall now. And let's see. Let's say 2021, all right? And so now, in one way or the other, we've created a Volvo car. As well, you can do the same thing. Call. Cool. Sorry. Yeah, we can create an Audi car. It's just the same way we create. We can make this 20. Let's say 2022 model and now the car. This is red. So can you see that we've created within 5 minutes? We've been able to create 2 cars. So that's the way object-oriented programming. So let's say, for instance, now somebody now asks, oh, which type of, if you can actually get value for each one of them. So I can say, what is the color? I cannot say color. So I can get road adults. What's the color? So let's try to run this and see what it's going to give us. So did anyone actually has any question from the? So, I mean, did anybody has any question from this? Because I'm going to give us, we've started assignments now. Assignment is going to start from here now. For every class, we're going to be having assignments now. Okay, did anybody want to explain what I've done so far so good to us, re-explain to us? Because I really want us to know whether we understand this thing, to be honest. Okay, so because we are going to be ending from here, I don't want to rush us. We're going to be ending from here. So what we're going to do, and to be submitted on Friday, that can go through it at weekend is, I mean, every one of us should try to create a class, an instance of that class, create an object and print the value of that. I don't know whether you get it. You create a class, an object of that class. I don't know whether you get me.
Is it any like you can think of any
You can think of
objects?
any object that you want to create.
Okay.
Or create a class and an object of that class.
Okay.
So when you create a class, you have to create the object of that class. And you now print the value, that's the value of the property of that object.
Okay.
Do we all understand the question that I give to us? It's basically what I've done for us today. So it's just more of like we should go back and look at this thing in details. So did anybody has any question? I could have taken us into Constructor tonight, but I don't know whether we are ready for that. So did anybody has any question before we call it a day tonight? Okay.
Hello, I don't have any. So I don't have any question.
Or you want us to, or you people want us to dive and move ahead to another, I mean, we are looking at going into Constructor.
Maybe house should decide, maybe tell everybody what you understand the concept today. We can move to
The next one.
Constructor.
That's, I mean,
This thing.
yeah. Should we move on or should allow us to go and digest this one before we move to the next one? Hello.
Yes, I can move on.
Okay. So let me quickly introduce Constructor to us tonight. So, I mean, Constructor is more of like, you know, we do have a properties. These are the properties. And you see the property that I created here, I've actually kind of give it a predefined value. The predefined value, it might just be like, it is empty. Yes, but I've given it a predefined value. That's why, because I've initialized all this property in front of them. But Constructor allow us to like kind of like, okay, you don't want to give it a predefined value. You want wherever you want to use it, even despite the fact that you can override the predefined value, which is what I've done here. But if you don't want to give your class a predefined value, then we can actually create it. So let me just create, I have a class. I have a class of fruits, right? Talked about fruits tonight. You're losing it. Let me call you back, please. Let me call you back, please. Let me call you back. Yeah, so I have a class called fruit. So instead of me saying I want to declare it just like the way I declare it, so I can, the only thing I just have to do is, let's say fruits does have a name, let's say string. So I just have to declare the type of it, val name, color. Yeah, I think those two is enough for me to actually explain. So I have to give it of a data type, string. So do you get, can you see the main difference of this one? You see, this one is with a kind of curly brace, but this one is defined with just a bracket. It means that I'm creating the class more of like in a constructor way. Yeah, so let me try to, it's a constructor, I mean, book-wise, I don't like going by the normal definition, but I'm just going to quickly define what I just put in my notes here. Like a constructor is like a special function. You see, if I remove this and put phone here and do one or two things here, you see, though we have to remove some things, but it's quite the only difference is we are not actually allowed to use var or val inside a function, but in constructor it is actually allowed. That's the main, but it's more of like a special function because you see it's kind of looking like a function that is defined with two parentheses, which is brackets. I mean, two brackets, and after the class name, it always come after the class name, and you can specify the properties inside of the parentheses. Yeah. So, and the constructor does not actually need to be initialized just like the way we initialized, the other class, just like the way we initialize it. But we can still initialize this if we want to. So I'm just quickly going to drop this as a comment. Sorry. I'm going to send this file to us for those of us that actually need it. So now let's create, you see that I should be able to create var fruit. Should be able to create the fruits like this. But you see, because it's going to compose it for me that I must give it a value here. Do you get? It's not like this one. It's going to compose it because I've inside the class already, inside the constructor, I've given it some properties and the property have to be initialized. So when you are creating the object of that property, you have to initialize it. There are instances in programming that we decide to do it like this. And there are some instances that we decide to go like this. It depends on what you are solving. Any way you do it is fine, but it depends on what you want to do, what you want to achieve. Maybe as we keep going, we see different use case for it. But I'm just only showing us, I mean, how constructor is being done. So so what we can do is, what's the name? It's telling me that I should give a value for the name, which is, let's give it mango. What's the color? Color can be the color can be yellow, right? I can create another instance of the fruit one, which is penny apple. Tomatoes picking up again. Yeah. Those being yellow too. Or let's say green. I don't know. So you can do the same thing of printing the value inside this one if you want to print it. Apple. I'll give it to Auntie Fondy. Give it to Auntie Fondy to pin it for you. Fondy. 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 Okay. Yeah. So please help us to read this apple for me. So we can say the fruits color, which is because I've created the stance of the fruit. That's color. So I can access the property, which is what I do because this is the property. So I access the property of this. I can print the fruit's name if I want. So, which is that is as simple as that. Let's see. So, I mean, did anybody have any question about constructor as well too? So that adds up to our assignments as well too, like different the same thing that we did for the normal class that we created. Both are actually class and we are creating an object of it, but you're going to make an example of constructor as well. So you're creating class that do have you are creating a class that actually has that is being created through the means of a constructor. You get. So I think that's about the thing I want to show us tonight. So did anybody has any question? So any question? So if there's no question, we're going to call it full stop from here tonight. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
Really
Let
appreciate
me know new question will come.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. So Eshebubole, thank you so much. I really appreciate. So I'll be expecting a comment, and if we have any question, we can drop it on the group, then I can attend to it. Eshegoni, I really appreciate everybody for joining tonight.
All right. Ṣé báwo ìgbà wo ni ká post assignment yẹn ni àbí
Yeah, you can send me the file. You can send me the
Okay.
file on the group, or if you want to send me personally, you can do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Eshegoni Odaro.